They don't for trust, they don't for trust, they don't for trust. Demons are real, those ones in me. Aliens are real, they what is real. Don't question me, they mess about. Aliens out, they mess about. Those are real, I'm on TV. They don't for trust, they don't for trust, they don't for trust, they don't for trust. Careful what you say or you'll get him bigger.
Very nice.
Happy New Year.
Bravo, Dave.
Good
Love
job,
it.
Dave.
Love it.
That was fun.
Well,
my
welcome
God.
back to Three Tortured Souls, and I hope a much better year than the year that shall not be named.
That damn year.
2021 is literally 2020 WON. So 21.
Yeah.
Let's hope it gets better.
Well, hopefully she's too busy hanging out with Satan now.
Oh, I love those commercials.
That's a great commercial. Oh my goodness.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Brilliant. Somebody hire that person again.
Which is actually kind of that fits in with our show tonight.
It does.
Kinda, oh my goodness.
Dating Satan. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what it is tonight. Dating Satan. Oh my
We're
goodness.
taking calls. I'm sure many people have dated Satan.
Oh man.
Well, welcome again with Kenny and Dave to talk about some stuff that brings us great pain. Pain. Yeah. So our topic kind of popped up this week because we were sharing different information with each other, just different things we see. And Kenny happened to put up, I guess, kind of a small documentary on YouTube. Where a guy followed a priest that was doing some exorcisms for people of a town in
Argentina.
Thank you. Yeah, I can remember Argentina. And then followed up quickly with that, not long after that, an article where a 4-year-old girl was murdered. We'll call it murder over a 2-week period during the course of what the alleged offenders were referring to as a exorcism. So that apparently included beatings and dunkings in ice cold water in a pond outside. Yeah.
Was that the court case that you said? Okay. That was
no.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I found lots of court cases. Okay. Yeah, this one they've just got charged.
That one was hard. Awful. I didn't read it all because I was reading it. I was like, oh my God, I gotta stop, man. I mean, I can watch horror and gore all night long, and I've actually been on set for horror movies and watched it, but just reading about it, and that was the case of a little baby. I couldn't finish it because I was like, oh my God, the things that they did to this child.
In an exorcism, blows my mind. Like I guess we'll get into it later, but like, where does this concept of abuse and basically torture techniques come in for the idea of driving out Satan or a demon? So I guess we'll just jump right in with the video that was shared.
Okay.
Yeah, I watching that, I got the distinct impression that there wasn't a whole lot of Satan or demonic removals in those exorcisms. I honestly, to be very blunt, the person that was saying he was a priest and delivering demons outside of people, to me was a very good con man, very good show person. I think that he landed himself in a culture that heavily believed and have a lot of faith. And I think that he absolutely took advantage of the people's faith and culture to make money. I know it was a little bit confusing when the person doing the documentary was trying to track down the money, but maybe you guys could understand it, but it had something to do with, he actually had a souvenir shop. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah. He was claiming that they worked on donations. So whatever the people could afford. and that they didn't use the money to pay any of the employees. That the employees were all volunteer, which I found a little strange. But yeah, that they used the money they got from the donations to buy items to put in their gift shop to sell. So
at no markup, of course.
See, I didn't see any of that. I actually stopped and went back, and I'm like, all right, he said that, but then they cut to another scene. It's like, all right, you don't say anything about your gift.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you have a gift shop? You're a church that has a gift shop? That's first for me. But
yeah, it reminded me of going when you exit a ride in Disneyland, like the exit you into the gift shop.
Right.
It's like, good luck with your demon-free body. By the way, you're gonna, buy a T-shirt on the way out.
Right. Right.
I think they took donations too for the services they rendered, supposedly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't just the gift shop, which, yeah, I listened to it. I watched the whole thing twice. And that part of it, just like the host of the documentary, I'm trying to follow the money. So let me get this straight. You do these services. You don't pay your employees. You buy things for the gift shop to sell. And the only thing the money does is keep the lights on and the heat on. And that was it.
Yeah, that doesn't.
I'm like, so, but wait until we get to the end. Who pays for vacation?
I mean, that kind of shows. I mean, I think we should jump just a little bit, not the entire story, but we jump to the end, and he's on vacation on some beach. So if the only money that's coming in is from donations that they only use to pay for the electric and the heat, how's he affording to go on vacation at some resort beach property? Like there's an issue there. And there's a much larger issue that we'll get into later that goes on the end of that. But
the color of that lipstick's got to cost at least $30, $40 for that lipstick that was all over his face.
He was also from his notoriety, I think, was doing television shows.
Yes.
I'm sure that he was doing paid presentations and paid guest speaking. So I imagine a lot of that had to do with how he also made funds.
Don't forget his paid class.
No, the ghost hunter.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. There was a ghost hunter on that show. That was good.
I mean, he did a lot of stuff because you're right. He did presentations. He did lectures. He did TV spots. But that was one of the excuses during the second act of the documentary, where originally he was talking to the guy making the film. And then after the initial interview, he kept avoiding the guy making the film. And the excuses were, well, he has a lot of appointments. He's got a lot of speaking engagements and stuff. So he's making a lot of we can't say for sure 100%, but I have no doubt that he was making money off of these. I
have no doubt. He definitely, I mean, there are different rewards for different people, and he definitely was getting a reward. I kind of fell towards the side of he was definitely receiving a lot of notoriety. He received fame. I think you saw in the documentary right there at the end, he had a lot of power. The people that were working with him for free were scared of him, for lack of a better word.
Right.
Even at one point were told the people to be quiet because they didn't want him to hear, or they thought he was asleep and they didn't want to wake him because he would be angry. I think he reminded me of a person of what would be like a narcissistic personality, and that was a lot of control and a lot of stuff that was focused on him. So he had a lot of this is all about me, not about the people I serve or the people I'm supposed to be helping. Absolutely.
Yep.
So I just remembered that I'm running the show, so I see all the. Let me go back up here to the comments and say hi to everybody. I typed in Happy New Year. All right. Whoops. Well, welcome everybody. So yeah, so once we got rolling on to that, I guess we just started talking about the dangers of it, and we had a discussion about separation of even though it could be lumped together, but just for this show, ordained or should I say priests that actually go to a Vatican or an actual training. I'm not exactly sure what they do. What I could research about it was it seemed like they do have a lot of work that goes into if they're going to actually perform an exorcism or not. And I'm talking about like the Catholic Church, when it is sanctioned by the Catholic Church to do one. They even mentioned that there is a lot of ruling out of psychiatric. There are a lot of mental health checks for that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say people that put on robes and say that they're an exorcist so that they can get a really good splash reel on their YouTube channel do not necessarily have people go and have mental health checks for causes or issues of what they would consider being possessed or maybe being a demon. And I think that that's probably a really good distinction between the two.
Yeah, one of the things I noted in that documentary is they asked him, do you talk with the person that you're going to do the exorcism on beforehand? And he said, no, something like, no, I don't hold too many conversations with them before the exorcism.
Right.
And that would be just totally against anything else, at least that we've talked about and read it with the Catholic Church. There's a lot of interviewing, and there is a lot of talks with not only the priest, the pastor, bishop, whoever's going to do it, but there's a lot of talking outside of the church as well. Consultations, medical, psychiatric. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. But I thought it was really weird that these people who he's supposed to get somewhat intimately close to on these exorcisms, he didn't really have a conversation with them all that much. It didn't jive. You're muted.
Sorry, I was typing.
Gotcha.
I know my keyboard is loud. So
drink.
Fuck you. Fuck you guys. That really bothered me. It bothered me too because that tells you right there in one line that he probably hardly ever, if at all, talks to the victim, the possessed. It sounds more like that this priest was getting information from family, like a husband, a wife, or mother, father, especially with like the one that they filmed. It's a young girl, and I think her father was there in the other room. But you're not actually interviewing the person that's allegedly possessed. So how the fuck do you know if there's something wrong with them? And even on that, going further, is the priest qualified to understand all the psychological issues that might be involved? No, I can guarantee no, he is not, because he was acting alone. He was acting on his own with a staff that I think, Tim, you mentioned, the staff is afraid of him. Yeah. So this is a person that has too much control, and we see that. We see his deterioration of behavior at the end. He has too much control over these people with fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's telling. That's telling. He's not doing a service for people. He's not helping people. He's instilling fear in people and performing rites and services on people that are unnecessary and taking money for it. He's a dick.
He is a dick. and I think even as much as that, I think the people working for him for nothing were people that actually have faith in what they believed. They were there to help people. I think that they gave up their time, they gave up their energy, they probably gave up time that they could have been working somewhere else to earn money so that they could be with the church and help people that come through the church. And I respect that. And not necessarily I agree with everything, but I think that they were there for the right reasons and they were taking no money. And I think that he preyed on that. He understood his victims, and he did exactly what he needed to do to find the right victims and keep them where they were. And that pisses me off. almost as much as what he does to other people. But he uses people's faith. He uses people's willingness to do whatever it takes to help other people so that he can prey upon them and earn off them. And yeah, that's definitely a dick card for sure. Yeah.
And just watching the exorcism that was performed. And again, anyone watching this, if you don't know what we're talking about, I put the link in the chat room. So please, either after the show, don't do it during the show because you'll stop watching us. After the show, watch it because it's powerful stuff. But seeing the exorcism that was performed, and again, the only one that I think we saw is one on a young lady, a very young lady. Like I would say, like teenager, maybe.
I think she was 17.
Yeah. So he was kneeling down. I don't think he was kneeling on her, but almost he had a cross, had a big crucifix thing, and he pretty much shoving it into her chest. And other people were holding her down. And at first it was strange because nothing was happening. Like the priest is yelling at her, screaming at her, and repeating things over and over again and pushing this. I mean, we're not talking like just, laying it on top. It looked like he was pushing into her.
It looked like he was doing that.
The sternum rub.
The sternum rub, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurt like a.
Oh my God. I mean, I learned sternum rub through EMT school, and I mean we used to do it on each other. That if you're not dead but almost there, you wake up when you do that because it hurts that much. But yeah, I mean it looked like he was doing that with the cross, and it was just it bothered me because the young lady laying there, and again she's laying on the ground on a mat. She looked like almost like she was going to laugh. Like it was kind of funny and she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know how to react. And I think we've seen that before where there's something going on. People are forcing you to expel a demon that you're like, there's nothing in me. I'm fine. But like, even with the one that Tim shared with us, like that girl was screaming. This girl in this film is not screaming yet, but in both cases, the people holding them down, restraining them, were not getting the results they believed they were supposed to get. And then they pushed and pushed until I think both young ladies in both examples finally realized I'm not getting out of this until I give them what they want.
Yeah.
And in the documentary, you're right. They seem to force something that wasn't going to happen just by repeating, yelling at him, making him uncomfortable. And then this one, I even noticed he kept chanting. There was repetitive chanting for about, I think, 20 minutes until something started to happen. And then there's, obviously some work out there that would indicate that with certain types of religious chanting, you can initiate a trance state or even maybe a hypnotic state. And then she's going to just play into his entire game.
Right.
Well, honestly, there was a lot that was going on there that reminded me of, for lack of a better word, torture techniques. I don't know if I would cross that line, but at least the idea and the techniques were similar to me, which led me down a 2-day rabbit hole, which I have not recovered yet. So in looking up like torture and idea and definitions, I've come across that torture is actually a legal term. And it's a gray area. However, they did break down. I did see some good breakdowns of what's considered tortured. And one of them comes to the point of what's called sensory overload. Of course, there's sensory deprivation, but there's also sensory overload, which includes a lot of sounds coming from different directions constantly, pain involved. And when used with sleep deprivation and pain, can begin to cause irritation and frustration, and then will begin to either break down somebody, or I think in this person's context, she realized that she wasn't getting out of it, like Kenny said. And if this is going to stop, I'm just going to play along with the game and do whatever I have to do to make this end. And I think what Kenny also said, I think what we all noticed was when she didn't give the reaction that everybody else gave at the very beginning, I think he got pissed. I think he was getting more mad that she wasn't doing what she was supposed to be according to him, or what he thought she should be doing. I think he was getting more mad because the film guy was there. And I think that raised the stakes. And when it raised the stakes, it raised his need to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's I think there's a name for it. I'm not sure, but it happened. I see this a lot, and I'm sure you guys see this a lot, especially with paranormal groups, when it's you're performing. That's what it is. You're performing, and usually if it's just a group together, that's a familiar group, no big deal. Everyone's kind of loose and flexible. But when you realize that you're on camera, and especially when it's somebody else, it's a news crew, it's a film crew, and you're trying to impress and nothing's happening, there's that desperate need to make something happen. And that's what that's what I'm seeing here. It's nothing was happening for the camera when he already gave permission to, film the exorcism, and nothing's happening. So he's got to make it worse. He's got to make it worse because, what's the point? He's got to keep up the act.
Yeah.
If you don't have good screen time, you're not going to make that bank.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
As you can tell, like, I'm totally checked out on this motherfucker. I hate this guy, this priest, because I think he's abusing his community. So, but I mean, if you, I don't know if you see it, I do have the video queued up, and I just want to point out.
You want me to add?
Yeah, if you can share it just quickly. So this is the scene with the young lady that's getting the exorcism, and she's outside waiting to go in. And I think you're going to hear audio. You should hear audio.
You got it muted. There you go.
So this is the girl that's going in there to get an exorcism. I don't think she looks possessed. And she looks pretty damn happy.
No, era todo al revés.
Pensando en lo que iba a pasar.
Sí.
¿Qué estás esperando?
La verdad que no sé. No me imagino nada.
Ocupados.
Sí.
That's dickhead. So I'm gonna move forward here just just a little bit here, and now she's getting ready. I mean, she looks calm. There's nothing going on. It's not like she's levitating. She's not doing anything. Look, she's worried about the gum in her mouth.
She's cognizant. Yes, I've noted that. She's cognizant enough to know that she shouldn't have gum in her mouth.
Don't possessed people usually have problems going into sacred places like churches?
Yes.
The exorcism didn't seem to be working this time. Patrick had no intention of giving up.
I think she's asleep. "20 minutes later.
20 minutes later. Look, she's laughing.
That's the demon laughing, obviously.
Obviously.
Come on. Was that anorexia or a bulimia demon at that point?
There we go with the cross.
Yeah. The most disturbing part's coming.
Yeah. That would get annoying. We should we should explain that earlier in the film, the priest, or I think the priest, somebody tells them that what demons are afraid of bells or something.
Chasing them off or something. Yeah, he
Chases them
said
off.
to the guy doing the documentary.
Yeah. So, and there we go with the shoving in the chest. There's a sternum rub. Look at that.
Oh,
That's not.
that would hurt just
Yeah.
watching that.
I there's no reason. Look at that. Of course she's gonna fucking scream.
Yeah, let me go. I think this was in, Kathy said Bolivia, and this was Argentina, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Did we mention this guy believes in vampires too?
Oh yeah,
We did not.
you're right.
So I think that's the end. And then she gets up.
The blowing.
Oh, I don't get this.
It's called the COVID event.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I you know, and we're laughing at just little jokes, but we do feel bad for this girl. And look, she's fine.
She wakes up smiling.
Yeah. Exactly how she went into it. So I really feel bad for her. I really do, because she's obviously in the influence of belief here, and I almost want to say, I can't say for sure, of course, because I'm not qualified for this, but to me it looks like she was in pain because he was shoving a fucking cross through her gut, screaming about it, and finally gave him what they want so they would let her go. And now she's happy that it's over.
Kind of fits into Tim's torture commentary.
No sé, al principio fue como que estaba re tranquila yo y después como que, no sé, me puse re nerviosa.
Sí, el padre se animó mucho al lado tuyo,
Sí.
gritándote. ¿Sabes que funcionó? Ya sabes.
I like him. I do. I like him that he's pointing this out to her. And even when she says that she's free of evil, you see her shoulders shrug, like, you know, this is what is supposed to happen. You know, this is what I was told it was going to happen. I don't think she's convinced that, you know, there was something in her and that it was released. I think I think it was just playing to the camera and playing to the beliefs. You know, that's what I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, she glances at the camera several times when she's talking, but there's a couple roads. I think the psychiatrist that they talked to that was there also pointed out that if it is placebo, if she is there and she really does, at least at this point, feel better, or, you know, it only lasts until the next episode, whatever that is. Which means that between this episode and if she is having episodes, like I think this one she was self-harming, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, and tried to commit suicide.
She wanted to commit suicide, and she was hurting herself, and I think she thought the demons were Anna Maria, which stood for anorexia and bulimia.
Yeah. So these are issues. These are serious health and psychological issues, not
very much
demonic possession.
And so they also not only did this condition or groom this child, but later on when you listen to the parents, you know, they remark that doctors did nothing for her and that this is what did it. So at least to me that signifies
they turned down the psychiatric help in the clinic.
Mm-hmm. I think this, at least to me, sends a signal that they're not going to have any type of medical oversight or medical help or medical check-ins. And hopefully she never has, but you know, you would hope that it would never happen again. But so there's no other like professional eyes on between this and the next one because of this.
Right.
So, yeah. So what they've done is they've taken away a professional safety net and put a false hope, for lack of a better word, into the whole family, which I think increases the danger for this kid.
And I mean, we do learn later on what happens to her, but that's at the end of the film. I don't know if we want to jump there yet.
think Bob already mentioned it in the comments.
Damn it, Bob. Bitch.
I know, he was shocked as we were.
Oh my goodness. Well, this isn't the same girl. This, I think.
Oh no, I'm sorry. They
yeah.
do what happened to what's her name, Laura.
She,
right, but they follow up on the two people.
Wait, so here we go. I can jump right to that screen. That's her. She says her mental state regressed dramatically after the exorcism with Padre. After embarking on a new path and a new evangelical church, she believes she is now much better. So she actually went to a different church and went on a different path. So I guess it didn't work. Because according to her, it says it regressed dramatically. It didn't work. So,
which is interesting because when the church, the reports that you hear is if it's a real exorcism, they've ruled out medical issues, that they actually seek the medical help. That doesn't help, but then they only get better after the exorcism and they don't regress.
Right.
That, to me, if you're looking at it from the church standpoint and what's been reported in the religious parts of this is totally opposite of everything that goes on in what would be a legitimate exorcism.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing.
If there is. Damn it, Dave. I'm the skeptic here.
This is totally against everything. Medical.
Right.
The
This
main
goes against so
church. It's just crazy.
So I don't know what else you want to see here. I'll keep this up here just in case you want to see more of it. If we bring up certain cases, and want to go back to it, so I'll keep it up here.
Tim's call.
Yeah. Do you want me to?
So we can leave it in the background, or I think.
Yeah, just hit remove.
For now, yeah, I think, and it'll just go back in the background. Yeah,
oh yeah, there
it'll stay there. So yeah.
At the end, you got to show it.
Technology, bitches.
I'm learning.
So, let me see here. So I guess what's I'm acting like I'm running the show. Tim, what do we
go ahead? I'm watching. I'm trying to catch up on saying hi to everybody that comes in.
I'm trying to on Thursday night, New Year's Eve, we did a quick show. My wife and I did a show. We just got on and drank and stuff, and she yelled at me for talking too much.
I saw that. I was there for that part.
Yes. So I'm trying to cut down. But aside from that, I mean, I think we were going to talk about other things. You had Dave, did you have a case or something? There was a case about a murder.
Yeah, that was the news story that I think we shared.
Right.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up.
What I think we're getting into is,
I think that's the one where we were talking. Isn't that the one where they beat the child and left her out in the cold and put her in the cold water? So we've already touched on that one.
Right.
Where on that one, if I recall, didn't they beat the family too and threaten to hurt them more and kill them if they reported it?
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous.
And this is going off of more with the we call them, I forget who came up with the name. It wasn't me. One of you guys came up with the amateur exorcists. I
think that was Tim.
This is homegrown exorcisms where it's not like, the whole formality and at least one of the few things I'll give the Catholic Church for is that they at least go through several levels of checks. Let's do the psych eval. Let's get the doctors, the medical. Let's look at everything before we go ahead with this kind of belief thing.
Right.
Whereas these families, or families and or neighbors, friends, extended family come together and just decide this person's possessed. Let's, for some reason, beat the shit out of them, because that is I don't know why. And
I don't either.
Back to what you said, yeah, Tim.
What the hell?
What's the reason behind that?
Mm-hmm. And apparently, so looking for some, I started out just going, how many deaths a year in the United States occur from exorcisms, which was a poorly worded way to try to Google that. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot. There's more than what you would imagine. I couldn't get an exact number. And of course, it all depends too on how people interpret or label what they were doing was exorcism.
Right.
What I quickly found out was that, just in case anybody's wondering in the future, when they want to put on their amateur exorcist robes and go save people from the demons, is that it will not hold up in court if you kill somebody or hurt somebody. So I did find a Supreme Court ruling where a person did appeal his death sentence, and it was denied. So he had spent many years in prison, trying many times to say all he was doing was trying to save this child, which is the one that you saw, what you read, basically. And the court was like, sorry, no way. And it makes me think, like, the more I read, the more I got into it. We talk a lot about like how ghost hunters can harm families. But exorcisms, like reading through this just in the past 2 days, is just like really very dangerous for people to do. Like, you skip, or I hear people say, well, we consulted with a psychiatrist, a person on our group's a nurse, or a person in our group is this. I'm like, that's not a professional. If you don't go in and get a professional evaluation and a complete physical and have tests done, at least psychological tests, you're not doing it right. And I'm not even sure that a person that is part of a group that might be a medical trained provider has the ethical clearance to do I'm kind of going off on a limb here because I really don't know, but it doesn't seem like the person that's doing the exorcism or part of the team that's doing an exorcism should also be the person that is doing the check to see if it's a mental health disorder or not. That should be somebody else.
Because that one book we talked about in our other discussion on exorcisms, that psychiatrist, as well as the one or two other ones that I've read, they made the point over and over again when they were interviewing somebody for the church. They said, we need to make this perfectly clear. I am not your therapist. I am here as an outside consult. And that's it. And it was, I think they sat in on a couple exorcisms just so they could see what was going on and how it worked, but they weren't really there to provide psychiatric counseling or help. They were there to do an eval, tell the church what they thought, and then move on.
Right.
So yeah, you're not getting that. And then, talking about people not going through the process. If you read this one that, this is the one I shared with you guys, parents of 4-year-old girl allegedly killed by neighbors while removing demon are charged. The parents of a Missouri girl who was allegedly killed by neighbors who were trying to exorcise a demon last week were arraigned in court Monday morning. They pleaded not guilty, of course. The parents are charged with first-degree endangering the welfare of a child resulting in death. The two were arrested Christmas Eve. It goes through it. It's just horrible. Their neighbors told them not to provide aid or comfort to the family's children or themselves when the neighbors would beat them, according to authorities. And they were beating the demons out of the girl. And the girl was found dead in the home. Says she had been severely beaten and dunked into an icy pond as part of what appeared to be a religious type episode. And it goes on, but it's just talking about not being qualified. So your idea is, let's call the neighbors and beat the family, and then put the girl in an icy pond in December.
So I have, I brought up a website that I put the link in the chat room. It's called What's the Harm? And it lists a lot of not just exorcisms, but it goes through a lot of, let me see here.
I saw that too. You want me to put it up?
Yeah. It's, oh, wait, hold on. There you go.
Nope.
So what's the harm? It goes through all these different practices, acupuncture, colon cleansing. We all need that. But for supernatural and paranormal, it goes through all these.
You almost made me spew coffee.
Faith, healing, ghost, magic, psychics, vampires, and such. But this one section is exorcisms. And this is all the people that have been harmed. And if you look right here, This is the result. So died, murdered, died, crucified, fucking crucified,
I missed that one. I went to this website too. I missed the crucified.
died, 1 dead, 6 injured, died, murdered, exploited by psychic investigators, exploited, murdered, died, murdered. This is all from Exorcism. They give you not only, most of them give you just a short bio of it, but they also give you more where you can click on and read more. But stuff like this young girl, age 2, her parents and grandmother thought she was possessed by a demon, so they attempted an exorcism. They forced her to drink huge quantities of water. She died because of it, because they literally drowned her from the inside because they thought she was possessed. 13 months. They believed the child was possessed and tried to rid her of demons. They allegedly bludgeoned her and bit her more than 20 times. She died. Her mother and a man were arrested. I think this is actually the one that I think it's the one you sent me the court case for.
Texas, yep.
Yeah. What else we got? We got died, murdered, crucified. There's a lot more to read on that one. I want to go into that, but that might be too long. Diagnosed as autistic at 2. He was a problem child. Church members thought he was possessed by the devil. In an exorcism, he was held down for 2 hours until he suffocated. The pastor was sentenced to prison but never admitted guilt. So, I mean, this is a list. Look, you can go down. All of these people murdered, died, and crucified. I mean, holy shit. Because these are amateur exorcists that believe that they were dealing with someone that was possessed and did these obscene, fucking crazy rituals or whatever to cleanse them of a demon and ended up killing these people. Babies. I mean, shit. This really pisses me. Hold on. Let me see if I can blow this up to really get the point home. Look at this face.
Right?
No, this poor girl was stabbed because they thought she was possessed. The child had a history of sleepwalking. Holy fuck. And her mother confessed to brutally stab her mother. The person that gave her birth stabbed her because she thought she was possessed. Oh my God. This gets to me. This really.
Show the one with Texas again.
Oh, so
Well,
let's.
one of those is in Waukegan, just down the road from us. Damn.
There it was.
So Ontario, here it is, Texas.
So just to be sure.
Oh, Telegraph.
All right.
It's going to a newspaper article. Okay.
So just to be sure.
Amora.
Anyway.
No, that's the name, Amora.
Uh-huh.
That's the name in the, yeah.
Yeah, just to be sure, if you're the person denied the death penalty, if there's anything that would hopefully dissuade you from trying this shit on your own, hanging a shingle out of your door saying that you're an exorcist and a demonologist or whatever you want to do, and you're there to help people. It doesn't matter if you hurt somebody or kill somebody, you're gone, you're toast, and rightfully so.
Right.
Like this is like nuts. Like I'm like kind of like Kenny is right. Like earlier today, seeing how many people have actually died, and the statistics and the things that I got were from I could only get from the United States or the states proper. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine in other countries where it's more prevalent, the death and the torture that would happen. But just to say, like this person that was convicted of his murder and is put on death row, or the child's murder is on death row, everything was denied. That guy's going to die.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, yeah, you just going through the short descriptions of these. I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, this woman, her husband said she was possessed by a demon, so he held her face down on the floor as part of an exorcism, and she suffocated. She suffocated because her face was shoved into the floor by her husband. You know, the person that's supposed to love you and protect you. And she died. Oh my God. I'm curious about,
And these are the people that, I mean, yeah, the ultimate horrible outcome is a death. But people that even go into homes and with no experience, no reason, no data say that you have demons or there's evil entities in this house and scare the bejeebers out of people.
right.
And they take some sort of action, either move out or they become more stressed and have all kinds of other problems. It's just a slippery slope, and it's just something that's stupid to do.
I don't want to say I understand the draw, but I kind of understand the draw when people are kind of up in the game for paranormal notoriety. After ghosts and mean spirits and
Right.
it's the more brave, the more dangerous, the more it seems demonologists or exorcists or people that fight the demon, I think tend to have, or at least in my mind, seems like it's kind of like on an upper, more exciting plateau. But I think with that level of excitement also comes a greater risk that you pose to the people that you're with. And I think it is a greater responsibility. I'm not even really sure at this point, like why people want to put themselves in this type of position where you can hurt, like literally really bad hurt someone.
I would venture to say, I would venture a guess, and this is just purely my opinion here, is that most people that claim to be demonologists in this community that we're a part of do so, and you touched on it, because it's like the next level up. You're not a ghost hunter, you're not a paranormal investigator, you're taking on the ultimate dark forces, and it sounds sexy, it sounds tough, it sounds like, oh shit, you're a badass. And from my experience, and this totally from my personal experience, these people are not doing exorcism. They are playing it safe, to for lack of a better phrase, where it's, oh, we can go into a haunted location or a house where weird stuff has happened and it's already been interpreted as dangerous or evil or demonic. And it's easy to go in and say, oh, you have a demonic presence here, I can get rid of it out of your house. Not so much going to these extremes. And I think the problem is that this is where it could lead. And most of the people that claim to be demonologists I don't think they foresee or expect to get to this point. I think they're taking the easy route. Whereas, like the three of us could go into any haunted house and be like, all right, show me what you got.
Yeah.
No worries about anything. You could tell us the most horrible fucking stories that went on in here. We're still going in to say, all right, show me what you got. And I think there's that little bit of mentality there where I'm a self-proclaimed demonologist and I'm going to go into this place that people say bad things happen and I'm just going to fight the demons, where they don't realize, like, this is the extreme part of it. This is where it could lead, but most of the demonologists that I deal with don't go this far. And I'm pointing, I'm actually, hey, this works out good because I'm actually pointing to the screen where it's up and it's actually the right direction.
So, you want me to take it down?
No, I mean, well, this real quick, this is the crucified story. And this, because I was curious about what happened, and it says crucified nun dies in exorcism. That a Romanian nun has died after being bound to a cross, gagged, and left alone for 3 fucking days.
Yeah.
In a cold room in a convent. In a convent. And she died after this because they thought she was possessed and they were performing an exorcism. Holy shit. Like, that's medieval. That's going medieval on someone. Like, literally.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, I feel bad. Like, it was a funny joke, but I feel bad for this person that went through this. But There you go. I mean, that's all I wanted to put up there.
All right.
So you can pop that out.
Woo.
Oh,
Heavy topic.
fires me up so much. This fires me up so bad because so many people are just when I go through this list and just look at the people that died needlessly and for what? Nothing.
I knew somebody one time who was investigating a case, and they were convinced it was demons with their group. And it was a woman who, I think she was divorced, and the kids had bruise marks on them, and she was taking pills. And it's like, holy shit! What? You think it's a demon? Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do something about that. I'm like, yeah, call a doctor. And they did not understand why it was such a serious issue.
I want to say that me and Tim were laughing because we know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I was trying not to laugh.
I'm sorry. We're not laughing at the situation.
No.
We're not laughing at that at all. We're laughing because we know who you're talking about.
No, even the three of us would look at that situation and go, hell no. I wouldn't even touch it. I wouldn't even talk about it. It was unbelievable.
Sorry, Carol.
Sorry, Carol.
This topic literally like evolved. This was not the topic we originally decided.
Not even close.
No.
We've been heavy on demons, exorcisms, and protection practices lately, but out of a couple articles in the video, I think it started with the video.
It was weird.
Documentary when you sent it.
There's a guy in the video. They talked to. His name is Alejandro, and he's the director for Center for Inquiry in Argentina. And I connected with him on social media, and I was looking through his feed because that's what I do. And he wanted to connect with me. I do a background check on you. And I was looking through, and I was like, I found this documentary that he was in, and I was like, oh, let me look at it. And once I saw it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm sending this to the guys because this is just perfect. This is what we talk about. And it's just, oh my God, I can't believe it's 2021, literally, that we're still seeing this kind of shit.
Yeah. And I put up Charlotte's, I hope I'm saying the name correctly.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to at the beginning, and I think at some point in the middle, we talked about making the distinction between this, because we even said that at this point, at least the Catholic Church takes steps. I think professional, to the best of my knowledge and everything that I read, they take professional ethical steps. This is more about people that put on a dark T-shirt and a black robe and want to go out and play demon hunter, and the irresponsibility of those actions. So yeah, we agree with that. We agree with what you're saying there, and don't necessarily want to say that this is all the way across is what we're trying to address, but that's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, the other thing he just commented too is teams that work with the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm not quite sure what teams you're talking about. I mean, if it's a paranormal investigation team or a ghost hunting team, I'm going to be pretty damn sure they're not working with a legitimate mainstream religion.
And we're not laughing at you, Charlotte.
No, not at all.
Dave, I've been on. I can't tell you how many panels or like discussion panels or other groups where the mention of we work with the Catholic Church and do this and that, and then when I start digging into it, like they're not working with the Catholic Church.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if any ghost hunting team worked with the Catholic Church.
this looks like a new idea for Naked and Afraid, demonic version. Think you're a demonologist? Put him in a real potential. You know what? Put him in a situation where somebody has Tourette's or epilepsy, and just watch them freak the hell out.
I know a guy, and he'd be up for it too. He has Tourette's, and he's a friend of mine. He would be totally up for that.
I'd love to see what a group like that would say.
Oh my goodness. It's and I can say this because the guy I'm talking about, we call him, he goes by the name Ticker, because he's totally cool with it. The first time I was on, like, he does a podcast, I was on a show, didn't realize he had Tourette's. And shit that was going on during the show, I was like, sitting here. It was audio only, so
I listened to
really,
that show,
I
yeah.
was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then we talked about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So we kind of went with it, and but he would be totally up for that kind of thing.
It would be interesting just to see what they would say about somebody like that. Say, hey, we got somebody, you know, I don't know what's going on. What do you think? And I would bet a serious amount of cash they would not do what was appropriate.
Right.
Yeah. Put him like smack in the middle of of a situation. Oh, question.
We have a question.
A cue.
But that's what I do. That's one of my rules.
That's good. I like it. Yeah, I spot it.
So,
This is good. I don't know. I've seen. I think I shared in one of our last podcasts. Someone did a brain scan during some type of.
She was.
I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
They were in a possessed state, and I think they were going to try to start the exorcism, but I don't think they actually completed it.
I haven't seen that. I've seen people like in a meditative and or prayer state where they've done that.
They find
they
it
go through like an MRI during like an intense prayer state or something to see what was going on, and it was
right.
Like being in deep prayer was pretty much the same the scan that you would get when someone was meditating, deep concentration, something like that. But I don't recall ever, if someone was possessed, if there was any results from that.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I swear I found one because I thought I sent it to you guys after our show on possessions and exorcism.
So there's a therapist. There's a therapist organization that's next to one of our offices. What we do, and they use a machine. I can't think of the name of it, but it attaches to your head, and it basically gives biofeedback. So it monitors brain waves, and you learn to meditate and self-regulate anxiety and self-regulate anger. But you do so by listening. You can control yourself when you know what you're trying to control. Basically, it's biofeedback. So immediately when I heard about this, I approached them and said, "Can you put that on a psychic for me? Let me see what happens." Apparently, no. So I tried, but I even offered if they would just let me rent the machine for a little bit, then we could see what happened. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it.
That would be interesting. I would like to see that. I would like to see both. Have it hooked up and see what kind of readings we get between a control, obviously, a control person, and someone that's going through a psychic vision or doing their psychic thing and seeing what comes up, and then someone that claims to be possessed. If
they've actually done the one with mediums.
Okay.
I can dig that one up, but I'm still looking for the one that I know I sent you guys an article on that.
You probably did, but there's such a backlog of articles that you've sent me.
I know. I can go through all of our damn comments because I do it on Messenger, and you can't search that stupid thing.
Why am I seeing comments about the sausage?
I was just getting ready to say, why is there sausages and tongues in our comments?
What the hell is going on?
What has gone on?
How much did I drink?
Did people tune out?
I think they stopped listening to us. I don't know.
There's only so much torture you can take before you need cow tongues.
So, let's try and ring this back. I mean, I don't know how. I'm good for all night, but
we got a minute. Wow, that went fast. I just looked up.
So there's a certain. I'm trying to find the exact point in the video.
Sure.
So wait, I think here it is. There's a. All right, so it's up. There's a young lady.
Curious about her own journey to the Padre. She revealed something to me.
You can hear that, right?
I couldn't believe I hadn't already realized.
A
little bit.
Bastante porque es una historia muy parecida a la mía. El tema de la anorexia y la bulimia, que yo estuve internada 10 años.
¿Viviste allá?
Prácticamente, desde los 14 hasta los 23. El padre me hizo un exorcismo a mí. Bueno, y mi exorcismo salió por la tele acá, Argentina.
¿Sí?
Sí, está en YouTube.
¡Wow! Podemos verlo.
El exorcismo de Laura.
¿Es el tuyo?
Sí.
Pero no sos Laura.
Paula. Porque pusieron Laura para proteger mi nombre, mi identidad.
All right. Just so some background on this, like she was part of an exorcism from this priest a few years back, and it was broadcasted, and they changed her name on the broadcast to protect her identity. But obviously, she revealed it here, and she's been working for the Padre ever since. And I'm not sure if it came up on screen or if we're going to see it, but her family left. I don't know if they just left Argentina because they were already there or if they had just went back home, but they all left and she stayed. And she now works for the Padre voluntarily.
Claro, sí.
¿Sos vos?
Soy yo. Sí.
Y así que era un exorcismo muy grande.
Sí. Tenía legión.
Nada pasó después del
Después
exorcismo.
nada, no, nada.
Así que
Y
vos
después,
crees 100%
sí,
en el Padre.
porque mi psiquiatra después me sacó la medicación y me dio el alta. Porque ya no tenía, ya está.
¿Qué dice tu familia?
Están viviendo afuera. Yo estoy acá sola.
Y no tenés novio.
There you go.
No.
¿Salís mucho para conocer a la gente?
No salgo tanto. No soy de salir. Lo único que me queda es agradecer, ¿no? Al padre y a la parroquia.
Ustedes tienen una relación muy cercana.
Sí, nos queremos mucho porque él me salvó, digamos, ¿no? Gracias a Dios y después al padre Manuel, estoy acá.
After the initial shock of realizing Paula was the subject of the viral Laura video, I began to think more about her life, how much time she devoted to the church and the Padre, far away from the rest of society and even her own family. With no social life to speak of, it seemed to me that working for the Padre was everything to her.
So after seeing that part, I think that's when we all probably were like, what's going on here? Yeah. And then, yeah, it just didn't seem right. My skeptic sense was going off. I was like, something's just not right here. Her family left. She was apparently like cured. She was exorcised, so the demon wasn't in her anymore. Why didn't she go home with her family?
Right.
Instead of staying on as a, for lack of a better term, secretary for the for this little church. What did you guys think?
Either way,
Dave's like laughing already.
Yeah.
Either way, I guess, you know, my understanding of my work with ethics is what I have to work under is United States. So I don't know. To do that to somebody, to go through that level. So he has a position of authority and power over this girl. Pure and simple. Absolutely. I don't like the ethics of it bothers me. I could be completely wrong. It might be normal. I don't know, but I don't like, her thing was he saved me. Now she works for him. I don't know if she gets paid. I don't know what she has to do. Like the control, like that whole thing, the treatment, sorry, the exorcism. That's not a good position to be in. Not in my mind anyway. I don't like that relationship at all. Going through that type of thing and then working for the person that you consider that saved you. I think that opens doors to a lot of control in a whole different way. And I'll leave it at that. But I don't think it's good. And I think for reasons like that, you try not to hire people that you've done work for,
right,
or done work on, for that exact reason.
So I think I have the part queued up when she talks about the money coming in.
Oh, here we go. Oh, and there's Prescott remind me to put up that question for us, but I'll do this for you.
Okay.
And I found the article for Bob.
All right. So just get through her, and then she had an exorcism performed. She gave much, but she didn't tell you how much she gave. There you go.
Imagino que la mayoría de personas que vienen acá no tienen mucha...
No tienen mucha plata, entonces se la ayuda. Y la verdad que cuando llamamos a la gente notamos mucho progreso.
que vale la pena.
Sí.
Pero para que funcione el
para
parroquia,
que funcione la parroquia, para pagar la luz, el gas,
la gente que trabaja,
la gente, claro,
vos,
sí. No, igual yo
no te pagan nada.
No, yo de corazón.
No.
Y los otros,
No.
De corazón.
La plata va
No.
al padre y él decide.
No, o sea, ¿qué hacer? O sea, no es que va la plata del padre, en verdad el padre no se queda con nada para comprar cosas de santería, para vender.
Paula's explanation about the church's finances left me surprised.
Yeah.
Shop sales, exorcism classes, and donations. She said the padre and his staff were left with nothing.
Sorry, dude. He don't look like he's left with nothing.
No.
No.
And she doesn't get paid at all for that job, which is even worse.
Right.
In my mind.
So
where does she live?
Yeah, exactly. Where does she live? How does she pay her bills? Like, where does she make some income? There's got to be something.
So here's this.
So the
Vatican has exorcists. It's documented that they exist, the exorcists, I imagine, but it's pretty unclear as to what the training they have. What do you think it is? Psychology? Is brainwashing involved? Do you think pharmaceutical products are used? I'd like to hear your opinions.
I want to say Prescott. Hey, Prescott. I used to work with him. Good guy. Real good guy. But for this, I've seen different things. I've seen training for exorcist, according to the Catholic Church, lasting a week, and sometimes more. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's involved. I haven't looked into it. I do have a copy of the rites of exorcism, which is funny. A funny point that I want to point out, because earlier in this film, I want to see if I can bring it up real quick. I'm not sure if I can, I know exactly where it is, but there's a copy of the rite of exorcism that's shown, and I'm not sure where it is.
One thing I would go check out, I don't know if they have anything on there, but check out the International Association of Exorcists. That's the Vatican-backed organization. They might have, I'm trying to see if I can find anything. I'm really not. I know they undergo a lot of how to go about it, what to do, but they also are instructed on, how to seek medical opinion and how to rule out natural causes. I think that's a big part of it, but I don't know the details.
Because I know from not only this, but when I started looking into like some of the things I did with Zach Baggins, Mr. Baggins, I looked into the rites of exorcism and found that there are certain prayers and there's certain prayers that lay people can say and do to help out, but the actual rite has to be done by an official authorized, I think bishop, not just a priest, but someone of authority. I'm not, don't quote me on that. But what I'm referring to is, like, I have a copy that I printed out and have like in a binder. And when it shows it on the documentary that we're talking about, it's in a very plastic spiral binder that you buy yourself. It's not something. It's not like an official book that he was given by the church or something like that. It's printed out. So that to me was like a red flag. Like, he doesn't have an official copy, an official book. He has something that he printed out. It scares me even more that he's doing this stuff. That's all I wanted to say. Right. I can't find it. I can't find the point, but they actually show it on the documentary where it's just sitting there and it's printed pages with a plastic spiral binder.
Well, the only thing when I looked up about training for exorcist, I came across an article, I guess in 2016 or 2017, maybe, where it was more about the increase in exorcisms around the world, and they were talking about maybe probable causes why. But in the article itself, it just happened to drop that the Vatican had opened up. They do once a year training for exorcisms, and you travel to the Vatican and you pay to have the training, and it's a 1 week training.
Right.
So I don't know what happens in there. I don't know. It's pretty closed off. Even the statistics of how many that they do is closed off and very hard to find. I think probably for good reason on their behalf that they don't share that information, but I couldn't find it.
Right. I think I have heard that they do video the exorcisms. Oh, wait. Share it. Share the screen real quick. There it is.
Oh, you had that pulled up earlier.
That's it. Yeah. So there it is. The plastic spiral binder. This is printed out. This is not an official book. So it cracked me up that he's got a printout because I have this.
All the money goes to Kinko's.
But there you go. Oh my
Print
God.
out the manual. Yeah, and then there's another place that I sent this to Tim and Kenny. Actually, here in Libertyville, Illinois, they actually hold the classes out at St. Mary of the Lake Seminary, the Pope Leo the 13th Institute, and that is. I don't know if they were open to just general lay people to be able to attend the classes, because now it says it's only clergy for learning about demons and exorcism.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Stop real quick. Bob's question, I can post this. It was trends in medicine, resting state tractography, fMRI in the initial phase of spiritual possession, a case report.
That sounds like fun.
It's interesting. It's got a lot of nice color pictures. It was published in 2018. Yeah, I'm not.
Got pictures.
I don't know how to read any of this, so hopefully the conclusion will tell us what they found. Pretty interesting, though.
So at the end of the film, we do learn, like, if you watch the film, and I do highly suggest that everyone that's watching this, you watch the film. Take the, what is it? Oh, it's only like 40. It's 42 minutes. So
not long.
42 minutes to watch the film, and so much of what we're talking about will make sense. But during the course of the film, more towards the end, we learn that there's a local reporter for a TV station that has interviewed the Padre, I think, like every year. He comes in and does a little spot for him. So the filmmaker is talking to the reporter, and then later we learn that the reporter went back to the Padre and made some like statements like, oh, the filmmaker was saying that you guys were, you and the young lady that became your secretary are, very close, and you kiss on the lips, and stuff like that, which ended in a very, very hostile kind of situation with the Padre.
Yep.
Just to wrap it up, I don't know if you want to watch it all.
Here we go.
It's a couple minutes long. I mean, I can go into it a little bit. I can put it up there. Here it is. Let me turn the video or audio on. That's the reporter. And then this is the filmmaker going back in to talk to the Padre.
Music from the film The Exorcist played to warm up the patient crowd. I still hadn't seen the Padre all evening and was beginning to wonder if it'd even show up.
Oh. Dave, Paula called us.
So it looks like he gets called into the back to talk to the Padre. They don't let cameras go back, but he is still mic'd up, which is fucking awesome. I love that.
I love that. Yeah.
There we go.
¿O pueden entrar igual?
No. Es cosa mía con usted. Pase.
So yeah, no TV camera, no video, but the host is still mic'd up.
Me toca a mí hacer una sola pregunta. ¿Por qué a tantas personas de la comunidad le preguntó sobre mi relación con Paula?
Paula is the young girl that we saw earlier, the secretary.
Se fue y ahora tiene una nueva familia.
La familia es espiritual, pero usted preguntó por mi relación con ella. ¿Por qué? ¿Sí?
Tipo, son muy cercanos.
¿Sí?
Es
¿Cuál
muy,
es
muy...
También se lo preguntó al periodista.
Sí, a mí me molestó mucho.
¿Te pregunté?
Sí, y me molestó muchísimo.
No, yo
Porque
te dije...
cuando yo te autoricé a usar mi entrevista, vos me ibas a preguntar sobre el exorcismo, no sobre la vida personal de nadie. A mí me preguntaste por qué se daban besos en la boca.
¿Por qué? ¿Qué?
Se daban besos en la boca.
Pero yo no te pregunté.
Sí,
Podemos mostrarte, creo que lo tenemos.
¿Cómo sé yo que me hiciste esa pregunta? Me preguntaste sobre la
Vamos a mostrarte
Igualmente.
I want to pause right here and just clarify, in case you didn't see the subtitles, that the padre is accusing the filmmaker of asking the reporter, why did you ask him why me and Paula kiss on the lips? And the filmmaker is saying, I did not ask that. And I can show you the footage that proves I did not ask that. And that's where we are right here.
No tiene nada que ver con las notas que estamos haciendo.
¿No pensás que es muy interesante? Y
Pero
también,
conmigo eso,
porque siempre
conmigo.
están juntos y solo hace un año que se conocen.
¿Y qué tiene que ver?
Nada, yo no estoy
¿Qué tiene
implicando
que ver?
que es
Aparte, ¿cuánto
interesante,
tiempo te conozco?
3 años.
3 años.
pero te está mintiendo y yo puedo
Bueno,
comprobarlo.
Marco me conoce como nadie. Es el dueño del exorcismo. No, de ninguna naturaleza. No puede pasar. De ninguna naturaleza. Está en mi parroquia.
Puedo mostrarte esta cosa, por favor.
Vamos a empezar nuestro ritual. ¿Algo más? ¿Qué le pasa? ¿Qué necesita usted? Listo, suficiente. Ya está. ¿Algo más? ¿Algo más? ¿Algo más? ¿Algo más?
The Chronicle guy's gone in there and told him that I was asking why they kiss on the mouth.
En inglés acá no, ¿eh? En castellano, este es
Okay, esto es ¿puedo traducir?
Lo siento.
Lo que pasó acá.
No entiendo nada.
Bueno, no entiende, habla, entiende perfectamente, no se haga el tonto. Entiende perfectamente.
viene
Yo le digo
you
tonto,
understand
usted entiende la palabra tonto.
No, bueno, tampoco sabe explicarlo.
No, usted tranquilo. Usted tranquilo, cuando hable conmigo, tranquilo. Tranquilo, usted tranquilo. Usted es un mocoso, usted. Tranquilo. Usted puede ser mi hijo, tranquilo.
Okay.
Tranquilo que usted puede ser mi hijo. No me habla los ojos grandes, ¿eh?
Bueno.
¿Entendió lo que le estoy diciendo? Tranquilo. ¿Entendió sí o no? Sí, padre.
Sí, padre.
Sí, padre. Sí, padre.
Sí, padre.
¿Entendió ahora? Sí, padre, diga. Ahí está. Perfecto, está grabando con eso y ¿sabe qué? ¿Sabe qué? Lo que usted grabe es esto. Usted viene a buscar escándalo acá. Que no tiene nada que ver con los exorcismos. ¿Y sabe qué? Usted viene a defraudar la confianza en la casa. ¿Verdad? Es ofensivo. ¿Entendió? ¿Él ha grabado eso? ¿Él ha grabado que es ofensivo? Soy un sacerdote, un obispo. Ustedes son una vergüenza. Goodbye.
Los argentinos estamos mal. Entonces,
Claro, los argentinos estamos mal.
Estamos mal.
Son ingleses. Son enemigos.
Unreal. Yeah, everything West is just evil.
That was funny. I mean, we can actually take that. I mean, if you want to look at it at to be a Star Wars geek, a certain point of view, it looks like the Padre just admitted, like, yes, you caught me. That's the scandal you were looking for. You got it. There you go. Now get out. But I mean, with everything that we see in this documentary, the footage, and then afterwards that we'll show you in a moment. I mean, I got to give it up to the filmmaker. He caught him. he kind of caught him. So, yeah, I mean that outburst there that shows me like this is a person that deals with fear. He uses fear to control the community.
Fear and intimidation.
Yes. and he's not worried about it. And when someone challenges him, especially an outsider, he freaks the fuck out, and gets pissed off and wants them out, which he did. He threw out the documentary crew, and that was the end of them. But that shows you, like, if he didn't have anything to hide, I think it wouldn't be a problem. You know, they could talk. We've talked about this a lot on this show, where if you give criticism to claims that you have, if you make an extraordinary claim and you have questions brought to you, instead of being butthurt, you should just say, okay, let me see the footage. You know, like this filmmaker was willing to say, hey, you know, you can look at all the footage that we have, and you can see that I did not say these things. But yet the priest was still, no, that's it. You're out. He went on hearsay. And
he had enough of them. He knew he was a skeptic, and I think he had enough of the guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't proving his point.
I agree.
So they made up something to get him chased out of there.
I agree. I think it was just he knew he wasn't doing the quote unquote good work that he claims to do.
Right.
And he was being exposed. And every minute that he let the filmmakers in, he was just making it worse for himself.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think he went that way.
The point that reporter was the reporter Marco?
Yes.
Yeah, he referred to the Padre as the exorcism king.
Yes.
And that was part of where I was like, that's kind of tying together that narcissistic behavior of,
yep,
it's just not that he has control and authority, but he has to be superior. And I don't know if Marco's defending, you know, if he's working with the Padre to get this guy out, probably. But it sounds like Marco has access to the Padre on a regular basis for his own articles and his own things. So that's, you know, that might be his exclusive and he needs to protect it. So there's a lot of things going on. But when he said he's the exorcism king, like, at least in terms of religion, I don't think that a priest would want to be referred to as a king.
No.
Probably exactly the opposite. I don't know. Maybe he corrected him later, but he sure didn't correct him then. But that told me a lot about the people around him. The others probably praise this guy on a regular basis, just like that guy did, to make their life easier and to give them access to what they want from the Padre as well. This guy, the documentary film, wasn't having any of that shit and wasn't praising him and worshiping him. And I think that's where the cut started to happen early on, because he was questioning his authority and questioning his ability. And that challenged him, that frightened him. And I think what you ended up seeing was a way to try to discredit him, you know, especially when he made comments about that. I don't know where this guy was from, but they hate Argentina. They took the Falklands or something. You know, it went from a very personal thing, like a very interactive, like he's challenging what I say I can do. And they I guess, strawmanned it. Yeah, they took it for, oh, that type of person doesn't like our people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to kind of gather the troops around him to not believe anything that this documentary guy is going to come out with.
He came out right away and said, you know, the filmmaker is English and they are the enemy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a personal attack. Definitely a personal attack. It had nothing to do with what they were actually filming and the topic they're filming about.
I'm pretty sure that priests don't really see other people as the enemy just because they're from another country, but rather children of God, or at least that's how I was always kind of led to believe.
That's how I was raised.
So what a fucked up thing to say if you're legitimately what you are.
Right.
Yep.
So in anger, people usually drop the hints. I think he dropped a lot of them.
So I have it queued up right now.
Nope.
The end of it, starting with the reporter. So this is Marco. This is the reporter, and I think you're right, Tim. I think that this is my speculation, purely my opinion here, but I think the reporter, who is a local news reporter, has this deal with probably one of the most popular people in the area to exclusively interview him once a year at least, and it brings in ratings. Because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for ratings. People love this stuff. So it's like, all right, I'm going to go in there and be nice to him and just let him say whatever he wants to say. I'm not questioning him. I'm not going to challenge him. Let him say what he wants to say, and we're good. I get ratings. He gets publicity. Everybody wins. Whereas the filmmaker on this side is not taking the bullshit. So
not having it.
I'll play this, and this leads immediately into our interesting end result here with the secretary. So be prepared. Here we go. Oh. Ooh. Wow.
Those are only the ones you can see.
And that's it.
Yep.
There you go. That's it for that. I can stop sharing that, but yeah.
Unbelievable.
So it's actually funny that after watching it, because I watched it first before I shared it with you guys, and as soon as it came up, I was like, oh, and to be blunt, I was like, he's fucking her. Yeah, something's going on here. There's something going on. And to see that ending, like it 99.9% confirmed what I originally thought. And then when I just shared the link with you guys. I didn't give you anything else. I kind of just said, here, we've been talking about exorcisms. Here, watch this. It's kind of cool. And you guys came to the same conclusions.
Like 15 minutes in, we're both like, is he banging that shit?
Yes! God.
As Jen said, yep. She got paid.
Oh, that's horrible. It's terrible, but it's true.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. It's a good video. Watch it. It's disturbing, but it gives you some insight on the type of horse shit that's out there.
Yeah. I mean, I really think it's a good video to get you some kind of idea. Because this is not... I struggle to say this is not United States or the UK. But in certain parts, yes, I can see this happening. Small towns, small communities, where one person kind of is the lifeline, the savior of the town, comes into this position of power, and that's what it is. It's not about religion per se. It's about a position of power. This padre has put himself on a throne saying, hey, I'm the only one that can save you. When you have these problems that might be psychological or might be medical, no. They're spiritual. And I am the only one that can fix you. And my staff, who I will, I control by fear, will work for me for free, apparently, will help me. We will fix you, and we will benefit from this. So that's how I see it. And of course, I'm open to any other evidence. If Padre Dickhead wants to come up and talk to me, I'll certainly talk to him. And see what other evidence he has. But watching this documentary based on just this, yes, he is a scam artist. No better than the people that call you on the phone and say your computer is locked up for a virus, and trying to get money out of you. That's how I see him.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's my 2 cents, and I'm pretty drunk, so right there.
Well, I agree with your 2 cents.
Thank you.
I do, like, after watching this, I really just believe that this guy found his audience. Like, he knows his audience.
Yeah.
Zach
Baggins.
He takes advantage of his audience, and he knows it. He understands it. You know, probably intelligent on that type of scale. But he knows how to surround himself. He knows how to control the people around him, and he knows how to maintain that persona that he needs to keep feeding the life that he likes. And
Yep.
yeah, I think he's just a con man. I think he's a showman, nothing more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's putting people at risk for it, and that pisses me off more than anything. It's just terrible.
Really, I keep going back to his comment of not talking to the person involved. Like that's for me. That's always like one of my number one rules with any investigation is go to the source, go straight to the direct source, the source of the problem, the source of the claim, and the person that's allegedly possessed, in my eyes, is the source of the claim. Like something's happening to them. I need to talk to them. And the fact that this padre just ignores that. It's like, okay, the family thinks they're possessed, therefore bring them in. Let me shove this crucifix as far as I can into their stomach while I scream at them. You know, I'm going to do this. And then, you know, you give me whatever you think I deserve for saving your daughter. Because that's a guilt trip. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, that's a good point that you just made. That was pretty impressive.
Totally took that from the Catholic Church. According to my upbringing, the guilt trip is like standard procedure. But
I had an Italian Catholic mom, so I'm like, I got it. Yeah, I got it. I got it both ways. So. That's a very good point. You know, you don't notice anything. You don't notice anything. I do this because I am here to help the poor and the ill and afflicted. But we did just save your daughter's life. I mean, you know, I did just spend all this energy chasing out a dangerous demon. By the way, where the hell does the demon go?
It does.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's in a room full of people.
Gone.
Back to hell. It recycles. It's like your save point on a video game. You expel the demon, it goes back to the save point, and then starts over again.
I'll tell you where it goes. It goes to the next 17-year-old who's going to soon be 18 for the Padre.
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, I was actually, because at the beginning of the show, I think I made a comment that I thought she was like teenager, but it's nice to see the replay and realize that, all right, she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
Because I think she said from like some kind of teenage age to like 23, she was bulimic.
Yeah, in a hospital or something. Yeah.
So at least she's in her 20s. So felt
she's an adult. Can make
a little bit better, but unfortunately, even adults, especially young adults, can be easily manipulated. And I saw that here, and I really felt bad for her. I do consider her a victim, even though from her perspective, I'm sure she sees it as her choice, and like she's doing what she wants to do, and she knows what she wants to do. And I remember being like 20-something years old and thinking like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. You all you people that are telling me like advice and shit, you don't know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. And now that I'm almost 50, I know I had no fucking clue what I was doing. So that's why I feel bad for her. I really do, because I think she's being abused. I mean, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything else. I think she's being abused by the Padre.
Well, it goes back to my earlier thought. Even if there is no relationship and no sexual relationship, the fact that he did what he did and put that type of emphasis of, you know, she's saying he saved my life, and now she voluntarily works for him for no pay, that I don't know that, like, I don't know if Argentina has a board of ethics, but I mean, shit. I mean, you are still taking advantage of somebody that you are in a position of power and control over.
Right.
Even if there's no relationship, but it certainly looks like there's one. She even says, I don't get paid. I've been doing this for 10 years. Is that what she said?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. She's been, but yeah. So she's working for him for nothing. Like, that is an unequal. That is not a good relationship. That's not a relationship that as a professional that you have. You just don't, because you are exploiting. That's the word I was trying to think of. You were exploiting a patient, someone that you worked with. You were exploiting that person. I'm not through your power, and that's
by any of the finance crap that they talked about. Honestly, they may not get paid, they may not get a paycheck, but I guarantee you, they're not guarantee. I would assume they probably are getting certain things taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe housing, food. That's payment.
Living place. I mean, Dave, you mentioned it earlier. We don't know where she lives.
We don't know where any of his helpers live. They might not live there. We don't know.
Her family.
If you're on camera, you don't want to have the tax people coming knocking because you have a gift shop. You might want to be really vague and quiet about where your finances go.
Yeah, but I mean,
you can still afford a vacation on a beach somewhere.
Look at this. She probably is living at the church. If she works there as like, I don't know what capacity. I keep saying secretary, but I'm using that as like a place filler because I don't know what she does.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, if she lives there, that just makes it look even worse. Like I get it, she lives there, but this doesn't look like a big building. Where is she living?
Yeah, I mean, unless, to be fair, like Jen said, maybe all said and done, she kind of thought he was her savior, so she felt she owed him something.
And that's what's that go into? The Florence Nightingale effect, where you save someone and they fall for you. They kind of like see you in a different light, and you kind of fall for them. Because I mean, honestly, he's not an attractive man. I mean,
well, that effect is exactly why you have a board of ethics that says that you can't, after doing what I hate to say treatment, but I keep going back to it. That's exactly why you have that board of ethics. Right. Once you work with somebody and you have that, all of a sudden you have this position of, I am this person's saver. Maybe they fall in love with you. Maybe they want to donate their life to you. This is why you don't accept it. This is why you don't take it, is because that person is not in the right state of mind, at least at that point, to offer that type of payment. So you don't accept it.
It's outside of any medical establishment. It's outside of most likely a legitimate Catholic Church establishment. So no oversight.
All right. So I looked up, I just had an idea. She mentions in the video that she was videotaped earlier as the exorcism of Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looking at this, I'm trying to figure out what's going on because it was on YouTube apparently, and it looks like 2005 was when this happened, and then the 2018 is when this film was uploaded to YouTube. So we're talking, all right, 4 years. The last time she talked to the interviewer, the filmmaker was saying that she was between the ages of some kind of teenage year and 23 was bulimia and her other problems. So 23 plus 4. So she's like 20, 27, 28 years old. So she's old enough to make her own decisions, but
sure,
still, I think, and Tim, you're probably the best qualified of the three of us to comment on this, but I think that once you're under the influence of someone, I don't know how to say it exactly, but once you're under the influence, if say you're saved by someone and they have some kind of control over you, where you're looking at them as a savior figure, you're pretty much like, I really don't know how to express this, but I'm kind of thinking like you see them as the savior figure and you're gonna just obey whatever they say. You're like, all right, you know, whatever you tell me is what I do. And if he tells her, you know, you need to follow the word of God and work for me, you're kind of under her spell, quote unquote. I'm not sure how to phrase that.
No, well, there's lots of, like, I'm seeing in here some, like, there's the Stockholm Syndrome someone mentioned, but there's also I really can't think of the clinical word right now. There's also like things like transference between a patient and a therapist.
Stockholm Syndrome is the prisoner effect. Where
that's where like you it goes back to, remember my first thoughts were that entrapment and accommodation, which entrapment and accommodation is a lot like Stockholm Syndrome. It's basically you're trapped, like you can't go anywhere. So to psychologically and on an emotional level, how you survive is you identify with who has you, and you do whatever they say. So you survive by accommodating your abuser's needs. And the entrapment part of it is where you believe there's no way out. So once you believe that you are entrapped, you can have a couple of ways out. And one of the ways out is accommodation. So you begin to accommodate your abuser or the person that has complete control over you. So Stockholm Syndrome is basically where you have to identify psychologically with the people that are telling you what to do or controlling you or abusing you to survive. So once you get to that point, you will become a completely different person to identify with the person that has you. So you'll follow the rules, you become part of whatever that they want you to do. The Smart, there was a girl that was kidnapped in California, Samantha Smart. I can't think of her name, but she was kidnapped and luckily found alive by a religious kind of cult, and but they kept her like that. And so she even got to the point where she would walk downtown, I think in Los Angeles, I might have the town wrong, I'm sorry if I do, but even she would walk with her captors and other people through the town and never like ask for help, never run. And that's because people ask that question a lot, like how come they didn't run? Whew, this is another thing, so I'm gonna keep it short. But
how do you know she can't leave? We don't know that. We're making an assumption. She could be
exactly
anytime she wants.
Right. So, but yeah, exactly. People make that assumption that how come you just didn't run for help? For a long time or maybe a short time, you know, if I absolutely convince you that I'm going to kill your parents, I'm going to kill everybody that you love if you ever say a word, and I convince you by showing you, I don't know, maybe I'll bring puppies and kittens in front of you and I'll kill the puppies and kittens just to show you that I am ruthless and I will kill. Once you do that over and over and over and over again, and they believe that you will kill everybody that they love, you have the beginnings of complete control. How she was actually found was she never asked for help, but somebody actually identified her and called law enforcement. So it's kind of an example of Stockholm, or at least an entrapment and accommodation, where they accommodate their abusers because they feel completely entrapped. Right. And I have no idea what the original
point is going on with this guy and this girl, though. To be clear,
I would venture to say this is like the beginning of Stockholm Syndrome, where it's more of what goes into what I called the Florence Nightingale effect, where she was saved and she I don't know if she fell in love with her savior or showed her savior so much affection and devotion, but it became a dependence where because we learned that her family, this girl's family, left. They left Argentina. They weren't living there anymore. So now this woman is on her own, and now she's totally dependent on the Padre for her living. You know, she lives at the church. She if she doesn't make any money from that job working for the church, she either has another job or Padre is giving her income, some kind of income to spend on her own, or she's just dependent on him. So I think it gets in that situation where she's dependent on the Padre. The Padre has all control. He holds all the cards. Because it's like, all right, well, if you don't follow me or do what I say, you're out. You're homeless. You're penniless. You have nothing. And we've seen, if you watch the video, the entire video, we see that he rules in the entire staff by fear.
True. Yep.
I wouldn't put this past him.
Well, and to go back to the point when we say that she's of age or an adult age and can make decisions, that's true. However, the point of at least ethics, in the States, I'll go back to the States, is the emphasis is not on whether she can make the decision to have a relationship with someone that treated her. The responsibility is on the treating physician or the treating person. That's their responsibility to not have that relationship.
Okay, but here's the problem I see. It's not a legitimate mainstream church, one. It's not a legitimate mainstream practice of anything he's doing. That's two. So where do those, I mean, I get where the moral and ethics come in, but there's no legal, what's the legal ramification? You got ghost hunters and paranormal investigators running around the fucking United States saying they're demonologists causing harm, but what, has anything in there ever happened? No. Why?
Right.
Why? Because what would happen? It's not any legitimate legal entity that's performing a service or doing anything, which to me, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
It's in a country where, however, you also have to look at the country's beliefs. If they believe this is how things are, and they believe that there's demons and exorcism possession, and they don't see any problem with somebody, a priest or a demonologist hooking up with somebody he's exorcised, but what's the problem? You have to look at the culture and the laws, not just what we think is moral and ethic in our society.
I think, yeah,
right.
That's the point. We have to look at the culture.
Sure. Yeah. And by me saying that isn't saying that we should address or imply or apply our ethical standard to Argentina, which is why I say coming back to the States. However, to give an example of why we have those ethics, I think we can look at why we have those ethics and the problems with what happens with those relationships. I think can at least be addressed, and if not, at least seen in this situation where you have a person of control that did save this person's life. I think we can at least address it that way to see the problems that you can have.
Did he though? Really? Now you're admitting that the exorcism worked and it was legit and he saved her life.
Oh, here we go.
Do what?
I'm playing devil's advocate on this one. I'm just curious because then you would be saying he did treat her effectively. So then we have two problems. One, he's not a therapist who did something to clinically treat her, or two, he used a sham thing for something that's fake. And it worked?
Well, relative to her, not relative to me. Relative to her, if she believed that it worked, then it creates a position of power and control.
It's belief, not necessarily that it worked.
It would be really interesting to see how something like this would play out in a court system. Where she's not married.
It does play out in the States all the time.
We run into the problem that it's not.
Scenario, nobody got hurt. She isn't hurt here right now.
Right.
She didn't die. She didn't get tortured. We don't know. Well, we don't know. But the fact is, she seems like she's willing, at least at this point, or okay staying with him. So let's say she decided to leave. And she said, well, I've been with this guy for so long. He saved my life. You know, I feel he owes me something. I wonder how that would play out.
Yeah, I don't.
I agree with you. Morally and ethically, this is horrible.
Yeah.
But the culture and the laws and the fact that, did he really help her? That's the bottom line, I guess.
I think that's it. There's 2 points there.
She thinks he did, I guess.
Help her, and that goes into not just was there actual, I don't know what the word is, but healing, or belief, and the cultural aspect of it, because we're all from the States, so we have our own cultural beliefs and ideas, as opposed to Argentina, which has different. I mean, it looks like Bob looked it up, and it looks like the legal age is 15 for consent. So totally different from here.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out real quick that Carol was right. I was wrong about the Florence Nightingale effect. It's when the caregiver falls in love with the patient.
And here, Carol makes a good point right here. We didn't talk about this. Or was she in on the scam? Is she part of this big freaking ordeal? And they're just a loving couple taking people for a ride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point.
I mean, when you look at we showed the ending. So the benefit for her and the Padre is that they're taking these exotic, vacations. So wouldn't it be in your best interest, your own best interest, to keep the scam going and say, okay, yeah, I'm part of this. I believe what he's doing. He's doing everything right. And it's true. And keep up the scam so that you can continue to service the community and get your income.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her. I mean, that's the bread and butter. That's literally her bread and butter. That's her food. That's her housing. That's her lifestyle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't put above her to.
It's a complicated situation.
It really is, and we are speculating.
It's an illegitimate church setup, supposedly, from what Bob said. He's kind of out on his own. And he's doing a service without going through any proper screening ahead of time.
Cool.
I mean, to me, the whole thing seems like it's just ridiculous.
Whew.
So you ready for this? I'll add just a little bit on this.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. So the legal age of consent, yes, is 14 to 16, depending on what state you're in. But actually, there are situations where you cannot consent, in which case would be familiar.
Tim drunk.
Something that we've kind of just talked about is if you are a person that is in a guardianship, care, control of the minor child, they cannot consent to you. So if you, as a person that is, let's just say 40 years old, bumps into a person that is 16 in the mall, and you both consent to have consensual sex, and that is a state where it is that is legal, then yeah, okay, that's there's other things that might come from it, but you're right. Now, if you are dating the 16-year-old's mom or dad, and that person says, hey, would you stay here while I go get some beer? And then you look at the child and you both agree to have consensual sex while the parent's gone, that is not consensual sex, because you were left in care and control of that minor child. And then you are an offender at that point. So there's quite a few, even though there are legal ages of consent, once you're under 18, there are still caveats that you cannot consent to.
Awesome. I mean, that's good. Because that's weird. When you start really thinking about it, like, that's weird that there are states where you can be 14 years old and consent to that kind of stuff with 40-year-old. I mean, oh my God, we're disgusting. Why would you want to?
You want to hear something even more weird? You ready for this?
Please, girls, wait.
You want to hear even something more crazy?
Yeah. Please.
So you are in a state that 16 is the age of consent. So you bump into somebody, you're 45 years old, you bump into somebody that is, let's just say 17. You guys meet, you both consent to have consensual sex or consensual sexual act, that is legal. You exchange numbers. As soon as the person that is 45 years old gets home and the minor child gets home, once that person texts that minor child that they would like to have sex again, that is a felony.
I've seen TV shows like that.
Yep.
Reports.
So at that point, you can have sex or consensual sex in a state that condones it. Let me be very clear. There's lots of things. But as soon as you leave, once you text, call, or in any way use a computer or internet to elicit a sexual meeting or discussion with a minor child, it is a felony.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this took a turn.
I typically enjoy busting people, so
that's awesome. Holy shit, dude. We're almost at 2 hours.
Damn.
This was a good topic. I like getting into this. I like the emotional response that we got and like just looking into stuff and like, oh my God, it fired me up. So what do you think, Tim?
Let me go. I saw a good statement here. How about this? So for closures, how about we can move on about our New Year's good luck? Without harping on it, we'll just close out with something positive and good for everybody.
All right.
In my family growing up, we used to eat cabbage with silver dollars in it. I have no idea why, but apparently that was supposed to be good luck.
Never did anything for good luck. We always went up to my grandparents' house and just had a really good time, and that was a great way to start the year off.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I never did any kind of ritual. It was more like, what do you want to do? I mean, it's New Year's Eve. Usually, I mean, the past couple of years when we're allowed to go out, I got wasted. I mean, I was totally wasted, and it was like January 1st day to sit on the couch and do nothing all day. That was basically it, which I did this year too. But otherwise, I mean, it was just like, have fun, just start the new year. Think about what you're going to do, what you want to do, your goals, and just go for it. Start it now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Just start your goals now. If you want to lose weight, if you want to be a better person, if you want to be more skeptical, hint, start now. That's it. Start reading, start learning. Learn. That's my advice for the year. Fucking learn. Read a book. Not by a ghost hunter. That's it. I'm done.
Good advice.
All right. Well, I wish everybody anything else before I try to do this
Dave, anything?
new video, which
No,
Dave did an awesome
Happy
job.
New Year, everybody. Here's to a much better 2021.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So I'll take us out. I'm going to try to do this and end on a good note without messing it all up. I think last time I ended it too soon. All right. Everybody, have a good year. That was a lot of fun. And thanks, everybody, for the comments.
Yep.
Don't forget Charles, don't forget Charles, Steve is the real, just what they need, Dave is the real, Bigfoot is real, don't question me, Dave is the goat, Dave is not, Dave is the goat, those that are low, I'm on TV, don't forget Charles, don't forget Charles, don't forget Charles, don't forget Charles. Careful what you say or you'll get together.